Hey everyone, this is Shay Murray, and Ashley, Cassidy, and I did our assignment on monitor hypothesis. Some background information on monitor hypothesis is it's one of the 5 hypotheses of the theory of second language acquisition created by Stephen Krashen. The relationship between acquisition, which is acquiring knowledge, and learning, formal learning. Monitor refers to the L's ability to self-correct or repair. These students are able to think about what they're writing/saying. The role of the monitor should be minor. So, some main points. A learner's learn system acts as a monitor to what they're producing. So this means the learn system is used to check what is being spoken. Students write or speak in the language they've acquired. Learning is important for the student to be able to monitor the language produced. And grammatical knowledge does not equal fluency. The monitor is internal, pretty much monitoring and correcting the language as you go. There are 3 conditions to use the monitor hypothesis. The first one is time, the second one is focus on form, and the third is knowing the rules. For number 1, time, it allows for students to remember their previous knowledge in order to apply it. For number 2, focus on form, this means students are conscious of the way they communicate and the form they have when doing it, not just the meaning. And then for number 3, knowing the rules, students should also be aware of the rules of the target language in order to communicate effectively with their classmates and peers. There are 3 types of users. Those include the monitor overusers, monitor underusers, and optimal monitor users. Monitor overusers focus too much on the correctness, which causes them not to be able to speak fluently. Monitor underusers have not consciously learned the rules, so they're not focused on correctness, or they have chosen not to use what they have learned. Optimal monitor users use the knowledge they have correctly and keep a balance between self-correction and fluency. Application of monitor theory in school classrooms. In school, it is important to think of a balance between teaching about accuracy and teaching about fluency. Our goal is for all students to utilize the monitor correctly and be optimal monitor users. Explicit grammar teaching tends to not stick with students because it is not usually contextual. It is extremely difficult to be able to teach every rule of a language to a student. Students can use the monitor theory to help correct any of their mistakes. For the most part, the monitor is used only in the classroom. It is usually used on tests in a class that focuses on grammar. Language that is acquired will come out naturally as a student speaks. There's not enough time to think about the rules of grammar while we are speaking.
Okay, so now we're going to look at a couple of different examples of monitors being used in the classroom. So for the first example, it says, Millie is a 3rd grade student. While she is doing her work, she constantly takes breaks to go back and check her work to make sure her grammar is correct. This sometimes holds her back from being able to comprehend the reading. So this is an example of a monitor overuser. We can see that she is obviously overusing her monitor here to go back continuously and check her work over and over again, which ultimately affects her comprehension of the work that she's doing. So that is why she is a monitor overuser. Okay, so for example, number 2, it says, while Tim is writing an essay, he is aware of the rules of grammar, but is also keeping in mind the comprehension of his writing. This allows him to write a well-written essay. So this is an example of an optimal monitor user. Here we see that Tim is able to correctly use the 3 conditions to use the monitor hypothesis, and it ultimately helps him to comprehend exactly what he's writing as well as self-correct. And then finally, for number 3, it says, Sandra has to write a story about her weekend trip. Her native language is Italian and is learning English for the first time. While she is writing, the teacher notices that many of her words are written in Italian, and it seems like she is relying too much on her acquired knowledge. So this is an example of a monitor underuser, and here we see that Sandra's not really monitoring her work at all. She's relying on her acquired knowledge of Italian, and she's not really correcting any of her mistakes.
To end the presentation, we would like to ask you 2 questions. The comprehension question is, what are the 3 types of users? Name and describe them. And then for number 2, the feedback question, do you think our presentation furthered your understanding of the monitor hypothesis? Why or why not? Here are the references that we used for our monitor hypothesis SLA project. Thank you all so much for viewing and listening to our presentation, and we hope you learned a lot of knowledge about monitor hypothesis. Have a great day.